Hey everybody, how's it going? I wanted to take a minute and talk about soil, but more specifically, I wanted to talk about how to get your garden into a good soil situation. When I first moved out here, all of this, all around me, was sandy clay, which is really the worst you can possibly have. Now, check out what I have. Let's go ahead and look down for a minute. First of all, you notice I don't have any exposed soil. That's because I adopted the method developed by Ruth Stout in the 1950s. Go ahead and Google her. The 1950s to the 1970s, she pioneered the use of heavy mulch layers, just constant application of hay. And what that does is not only keep all of the weeds from growing up, but you see this? Earthworms. Not just earthworms, there's little pill bugs or roly-polies or whatever you want to call them. I can see little tiny bugs crawling all through here. This is great because the earthworms are going to, number one, burrow through and aerate the soil. So this never gets rototilled. Secondly, the earthworms are breaking down this top layer of hay and integrating it into the soil below, what we call the mineral soil. So here's the mineral soil down below. First of all, you notice how moist it is. Look at that. Is perfect gardening soil. Now, as far as these worms are concerned, check this out. This is something I never get tired of. Just watch how many worms. Watch the worms. Okay, there's one right there. 1, 2, 3. Let's continue up this way. I mean, the earthworms dominate this. Look at, I've got an earthworm crawling on my toe. You know? So not only good fishing bait, look at them just coming out from the disturbance. That's a red wiggler. So these worms are also part of an ecosystem that involves bacteria and fungi, and all those things are natural in the environment. So when you're working with this type of garden, you have to part the hay and go ahead and put your plants in. These are zucchini that I actually grew from seed, and they'll do fine, they'll spread out. What if you want to do row crops? Well, you part the straw out of the way, you get down to the mineral soil with a good layer of humus, that's the broken down organic matter, you sprinkle it with your seeds, and then you see, now this happens to be arugula or rocket. I've got black-seeded Simpson planted there, and this is a mixture called mesclun lettuce. So as you can see, I've got a variety of crops. Here just happens to be kale, basil, onions, but look over here. I planted a row of sunflowers, and I have to part the hay, put the seeds in the ground, let them germinate, and then I'll come back and I'll pull this hay up to the plants. So this entire row right here, once it gets established, I'll go ahead and backfill it with hay, and it'll go gangbusters. And so, I'll keep this short. If you want good soil, you got to work with nature. You got to work with all the creepy crawlies, the bugs. You need to work with natural decomposition. Now, the whole issue is, do you have a source of hay? This happens to be spent hay, which is the waste hay from my goats. So basically, a goat is very wasteful, and they're going to take a bite of hay, pull it out of the manger, chew some, and the rest falls down to the ground. They won't eat that again. Then they pee on it, they poop on it. I'm not worried about parasites. If you were worried about parasites, maybe buy one of these big round bales of hay, you know, the big cow bales of hay. 45 bucks, 35 bucks for a 1,000-pound bale, and you can probably have it delivered, okay? I wouldn't go buy the square bales. It's not going to be economical. Some people use wood chips. Not sure about wood chips. The woody debris like that really doesn't break down in the same way. It tends to bind a lot of nitrogen at the surface as it decomposes. However, I've heard that underneath that rotting layer, the nitrogen is returned back into the soil. It's a complex nitrogen and carbon web, as they call it. You can read more about it. Again, I would recommend Ruth Stout, 1950s through the 1970s. She wrote a popular series of gardening books with heavy mulching. All right, well, that's our lesson for today. Got to plant some beans in this beautiful soil. So I hope you're doing well. Peace out.